Yeah, okay.
Not that you were. Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, they're not going to run a marathon.
Give me the definition of unfit.
Oh, probably 25 pounds over.
I think it's minimum.
It's a little taste.
All right.
Hey, guys. That was like to sit in the back, that way.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order.
There you
Go with
go.
the Pledge of Allegiance.
There you go. How you doing?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. The first item on the agenda is the public hearing on the modifications to the local income tax rate. So I will now open the public hearing. Has everyone gotten a chance to sign up who wanted to speak? Okay. Yep.
For some reason, I've been having bad internet quality this evening, so if this does not go through well, I'll upload the recorded version
Okay.
in the morning,
Okay.
okay?
Yep.
Just FYI.
And you're recording as well. Okay. So, on September 13th, this notice appeared in the paper. Is that it? Notifying taxpayers of a hearing on a proposal to modify the local income tax rate, scheduled for 5 o'clock today. This has been talked about previously. We are not changing the rate itself. The existing rate is 1.81%. The proposed rate is 1.81%. All this does is modify the rate structure in order to be able to raise funds for the provision of dispatch services. So, we have some people signed up to speak. I would have began with people who were against the modification, but no one signed up. So I will skip to in favor of the modification, and the first person signed up is Kelly Harding. So, mind coming to the microphone? And you are limited to 3 minutes.
Okay, well, I'll try. Okay. I have it wrote down because I didn't want to forget anything, so apologize if I don't get to look at you whenever I'm speaking. Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak this afternoon. I am a resident of Tell City, and I want to take this opportunity to express my support for the proposed tax changes currently being discussed tonight. It is important that all residents, both city and county, to understand that Tell City has provided top-notch dispatch services at a bargain rate to the entire county for nearly 40 years. Per the 2020 census, Tell City residents account for approximately 39% of the county's total population, while the county residents account for approximately 51%. While the estimated cost to operate the dispatch center annually is around $1.1 million, it is vital to recognize that Tell City taxpayers have carried the majority of this financial strain for decades and have been covering close to $900,000 of the reoccurring annual expense, while county taxpayers have only been responsible for an estimated $49,000 out of the county's annual yearly budget. Most residents, including myself, were unaware that the county was paying such a disproportionately low share of the dispatch costs despite having a much larger percentage of the overall population. I realize tax increases are never popular and should be carefully scrutinized by this board, and in this case, the City of Tell City has subsidized this dispatch service for far too long. It is time to fairly balance the tax burden across everyone. I would like to personally commend those on the council who recognize the imbalance in dispatch cost contributions and work together with the City of Tell City to agree to a more equitable financial agreement. It is appreciated. I also appreciate their creativity in how the council can apply this PSAP tax to minimize the overall burden to taxpayers in Perry County. Families in this community work extra hard for their livings and should expect nothing less from every elected official. I was recently informed by a member of the council, this board, that the Perry County Commissioners are preparing to take over the dispatch service and construct a new dispatch center. If this occurs, how will this affect the PSAP tax presented tonight? This proposed PSEP tax, as presented, is to rectify and cover the county's fair share of the annual dispatch costs as presented by Tell City Central Dispatch. I believe it is safe to assume that this cost has potential to change dramatically should the commissioners actually decide to start over from scratch and have the county take over the operation. As an example, I have found no statutory requirements for the city to contribute to the funding of PSAP services provided by the county, so where would the $300,000 to $400,000 go that Tell City would no longer be responsible to pay? Therefore, the cost of starting a brand new dispatch to the county has a potential to be significant. Why would the council allow such frivolous spending to occur when Tell City has a newly renovated facility that has provided first-class service without issues for decades? Also, you, the council, need to consider the unknown capital costs of constructing a new dispatch center. Would those additional costs lead to yet another tax increase or perhaps more loans taken out for a sizable project? The money has to come from somewhere. We don't have a magic money tree. Since we don't have an endless supply of tax dollars, where would the adjustments be made to help fund such a significant expense? Would it come in the form of countywide department cuts, salary freezes, insurance raises, etc.? I would hope this council would take time to think things through and closely analyze every single detail should the decision be made to take over dispatch as the county. It is not the job of the county council to adhere to requests or demands of the county commissioners. You are an equal. It is your elected duty to do what is fiscally and financially responsible with our hard-earned tax dollars and to appropriate them accordingly. This is why governments of all levels have checks and balances in place. In my opinion, it would be a tough sell to Perry County taxpayers to spend an exorbitant amount of money to fix something that is not broken when we have other needs far more urgent. I would much rather see our hard-earned tax dollars prioritized and be spent on dire needs such as the return of the full-time 3rd ambulance crew, an animal control officer or shelter, or investment in other areas such as infrastructure to provide adequate and more maintenance for county roads, water supply, and broadband. Thank you for the opportunity to let me speak this evening.
Thank you. Next, we have Randy Cole.
First, I want to apologize for my sign-up. I didn't realize I was for or against. I just wanted to make a comment, and I didn't read it and signed up underneath Kelly. One of my concerns is what you're actually doing is you're taking an income tax, which did provide some relief to property taxes. So you are switching the burden from one group to another. The last time I believe I was here, we were passing a safety tax that, again, was used for similar purposes. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, it was brought up about, I think it's a 50-cent tax we fund the jail with. And former councilman, and it's in the newspaper, stated that when the jail is paid for, this tax will go away. But that hasn't seemed to catch traction. I know there's restrictions on the bonds, whether they can be cashed in, whether they can't be cashed in. But I do believe if we're going to work with taxes, raise taxes, shift taxes, we should honor what other councilmen said and promised in the past, and that this 50-cent jail tax burden should be taken off the taxpayers here. It was stated for the purpose of building and paying for the jail. That's what it's used for, and that's when it should end. And I feel like you should have an equal commitment to that. I think in 2022, and I believe with the input of an attorney, you could pay your bonds off today if you just paid the interest to the bondholders, and you could put that to rest. But my concern is it'll fall to the wayside, not catch any traction. It'll continue to be used for other purposes as taxes have in the past. My concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Those were our only 2 sign-ups. So I will now close the public hearing. Okay. So we will now have a first reading of the ordinance Council, you have two copies. One is the notice to taxpayers, and the other one is the ordinance. I'm going to read the notice to taxpayers version of the ordinance, because that is what was advertised, but there is at least one change that needs to be made in the final version. So, an ordinance, this is the first reading, an ordinance modifying the local income tax rates of Perry County, Indiana. Whereas the County Council of Perry County, Indiana acknowledges that the citizens of Tell City, Indiana have carried the financial burden of funding dispatch operations for too long, and whereas the County Council now seeks to rectify this issue in the most equitable manner possible. Now therefore be it ordained by the County Council of Perry County, Indiana, that a need now exists to modify the local income tax rates imposed in the following way. Certified shares, 0.4754 to 0.5080. Public safety, 0.25% to 0.3020%. Economic development, 0.5% to 0.5%. Property tax relief rate, 0.046% to 0%. Special purpose rate, 0.5% to 0.5%. Correctional rehab facilities, 0% to 0% for a no change of 1.81 to 1.81%. Section 2, a portion of the public safety revenue will be directed to the public safety answering point of the county. This revenue will be allocated to the PSAP prior to the distribution of the remainder of the public safety revenue. For the public safety existing lit rate of 0.250%, proposed to 0.3020%, with a public safety answering point rate of 0% to, as advertised, 17.220%. Be it further ordained that a public hearing was held on the proposed local income tax rate modifications on Thursday, September 23rd, 2021. Proper notice of the public hearing was provided pursuant to IC 5-3-1. And that is the first reading of the ordinance. So, I would entertain a motion to accept, modify, or amend the ordinance as presented during the first reading. And I do have one thing that I would like to propose. Under the proposed PSAP rate, it was advertised as 17.22%. That needs to be changed to 0.0520%. So I will make a motion to amend the ordinance under the proposed PSAP rate from 17.22% to 0.0520%. And that was, DLGF looked over this ordinance and they caught that typo, and that has to be fixed regardless of what we were to do. So I have a motion on the floor to modify the ordinance in that manner. Do I have a second? Got a second by Danny. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries and the ordinance is amended. Do I have any other amendments to the ordinance?
I'd like to review the wording just a little bit with you, but no, as far as numbers are fine.
Okay.
Do what? I don't have it written out yet, but I probably might change the wording just a little bit, but that, we can do that, make a modification, all we'll change the numbers stuff.
So you want to modify the whereas statements?
Yeah, just, I'm not sure exactly how we want to do it just yet. We talked about it a little bit a couple weeks ago, Luke, and just never got around to doing it, but as far as the ordinance itself, it's fine.
Do you have any ideas presently?
Right now, no.
Okay. Well, that is the first reading. Rod, should we have a motion for the
Well,
second and third reading?
I think
See
if they want to make some modifications or amendments, you're gonna have to wait, I guess, if you want to wait. I think one of the council members has indicated that he'd like more time to do that. Are you asking to table the vote on this?
I don't care. I mean, if we'll leave just the way it is, fine. I'd like to make the wording a little more general, but, whatever.
And so to the extent that might materially alter this one way or the other, I think
It
I'd
won't
have
take
to
a
wait
while.
until submit something in writing and then you guys can look at it.
It won't have any impact at all on the numbers.
Well, I mean, but the ordinance is the ordinance, you know.
Okay.
These ordinances are, you know, it's like a statute, you know.
Sure.
And if you change the wording in the statute, you might change the impact of the statute, even though the numbers might remain the same. I think you'd have to wait and see what, you know, what the proposal
Well,
would be.
I mean, I'll make a motion, we, modify the wording, but if we don't get a second, not going to change anything.
So do you want to make that a formal motion?
Yes.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
Hmm?
I guess I'll second. I still understand that.
I will, well then, if we have a motion and a second, I'll open it for discussion that this has to be done before November 1st.
Okay.
And
Dave, you gonna grab lunch tomorrow? We'll grab lunch tomorrow, so we, yeah, just,
Can we talk about it in public?
yeah, we can, but my thing is that, it says that, tell cities carry financial burden, too long, may have more general, like, the funding is unbalanced, stuff, we want to do it a more equitable way. Some people can read that and run with it, just a little more general terms. That's all I'm thinking. Maybe want to, that the funding for the dispatch has been unbalanced. Now's the time to correct it, make it more equitable.
You don't agree it's been unbalanced?
It has been unbalanced. It's been unbalanced. That I said, that the funding has been unbalanced, and the county now seeks to do this in a more equitable way. When you use the word too long, it's a little bit. Some people interpret that being a little bit too strong, or boring maybe. I don't know. It just, I like to have a little more general terms.
Just the truth.
We'll have to have another public hearing for that.
no, we've already had the public hearing.
Yeah, we've already had hearing.
We just have to
Yeah.
have another reading of the ordinance
How
as
would you word
amended.
that?
Beg pardon?
How would you word that?
I would word something like the fact that the county council realizes that the funding for dispatches has been unbalanced among the city and the county. Now we wish to do it in a more equitable way. Sometimes some of the wording people can interpret a little bit too strong or too wordy, whatever.
And this is, I mean, if,
We could just go ahead and make a motion on that.
well, we've got a motion and a second to modify the wording. Is that what the motion was? But we don't have exact wording yet. I mean,
Pretty much it.
would solving if we took out for too long, would that solve the issue and we could vote on this tonight?
Yeah, that's basically about it, just to kind of change, make it a little more general
So
terms.
if we change it to whereas the county council, Perry County acknowledges that the citizens of Tell City, Indiana have carried the financial burden of funding dispatch. And whereas the county now seeks to rectify that issue in the most equitable way possible.
There's been unbalanced funding for the dispatch.
All right, well, we have a motion.
Okay.
Is there any more discussion? We got a motion and a second on the floor. So I just want to reiterate that this has to be done before November 1st. I guess if this motion passes, we can do this at our October meeting. But remember, we are having budget sessions next week, and we're supposed to be budgeting this money. So I just hope there's no issues there.
I'm gonna withdraw my motion, just the way it is. It's not that big a deal, but sometimes wording can mean, people can interpret things different, like in the general public, but.
Well, I think you've made it clear basically what it says. It's just
Yeah.
another way to say it.
Just another
Funding
way
has
to say
been
it.
imbalanced. That's the bottom line. So, you are withdrawing that motion?
Yes, I will.
Okay. All righty. Well, with that motion withdrawn, I will now, do I have to ask for a motion for the second and third reading by title only?
I would.
Okay. Do I have a motion to have the second and third reading by title only?
I make that motion.
Got a motion?
I'll second.
Got a motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Second reading, an ordinance modifying the local income tax rates of Perry County, Indiana. Third reading, an ordinance modifying the local income tax rates of Perry County, Indiana. So we've had a first, second, and third reading. I would now entertain a motion to adopt the ordinance as presented.
Make the motion with Dr. ordinance as presented.
Got a motion by Paul and a second by David to accept the motion, or to adopt the ordinance. All those in favor, any discussion, first of all? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Ordinance is adopted. All right. Now to our regular agenda items. All right, adoption of the agenda. This is an updated agenda. We had some last minute transfers and a miscellaneous item to add on there. PCDC Board of Directors and delegate appointment. Are there any changes to the agenda? If not, I'll accept it as presented. So any additions to it? Okay. The agenda will stand as presented. Item 4 on the agenda is approval of minutes from the July 22nd, 2021 meeting. Did everyone have a chance to review those? Does anyone have any modifications to the minutes? If not, the minutes will be adopted as presented. Comments from the public. Does anyone have any comments they'd like to make? I forgot to put the sign-up sheet for that part. I ripped it off.
Oh, you did?
Does anyone have any?
I have a question. I don't
Mind coming up to the
know if it's for
microphone?
you guys or who it's for, but I'll ask you.
Does the county have like a grant writer, or do we hire someone to help write grants, or is it per department, or we just ask the departments to do it, or how does that work?
Yeah, departments. do it
Okay.
usually.
Just to let you know my concern, I've emailed the health board about this, and I've talked to the governor's office and the Indiana State Department of Health and about our need for rapid COVID testing here. And they say that there's been plenty of opportunities for grants. There's still opportunities for grants to get that if we want it, and I don't know what else to do. I've emailed the health board, and I'm not really getting anywhere. So I think it's a need in this community. I think there's a lot of people who can't pay $100, $200 to get a rapid COVID test, and so if I can help write a grant, I'll do it. I don't know what else to do at this point, and just as a concerned citizen, I thought that you guys should be made aware of that I don't know if we need to hire a grant writer or a firm or something to help do that. I mean, like I said, I'll be happy to offer to do whatever I can. I mean, I've never done that, but I'm sure I could write something. At least try. At least try, you know. So I think there's opportunities for money out there. And, you know, I took my 2 kids to a local doctor's office for 2 rapid tests, and it was $220. Fortunately, I'm able to pay that. There's a lot of people in our community that cannot. And with us being in red and orange, I don't think we need to do anything that might hinder the increased spread. So that's just, I was going to ask about the grant writing. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public want to speak? Okay. Thank you. We will move on to item number 6 on the agenda, transfers. We've got transfers within the county general fund, $1,300 from travel to $300 to jury supplies and $1,000 to lodging and meals for jurors within the Perry County Circuit Court budget. And you should have updated information on these. Pam printed it out. It's separate, I think, from. And this is to cover expenses for the upcoming jury trials. So do I have a motion to approve the transfer?
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion by David.
I'll second it.
Got a second from Paul. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. The next transfer is within the Supplemental Adult Probation Fund. $100 from booklets and printed materials, $400 from official bond and insurance to office supplies for a total of $500 within the Perry County Circuit Court budget. This is to cover expenses of purchasing supplies, to cover probation officers, etc.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Danny and a second by Earl. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item number 7, additional appropriations. Within the county general fund, $6,000 for autopsy fees within the Perry County coroner budget. You want to speak on that at all?
I can.
You don't mind?
I don't mind. Right now in my budget for autopsies, I got about $1,400 left. We're getting into the holiday season, and it seems each year during the holiday season, our autopsies increase. And this increase of 6,000 would cover roughly 3 plus enough to cover a fourth one if we have to have it at this time. Last year we had 12 autopsies for the year. This year we've only had 6, so we're behind, and I hope it stays that way, but with the holidays coming on, you just never know.
Do you have any outstanding bills or anything for any autopsies?
Right now, they've all been turned
Good,
in.
good, good. Okay. Thank you, Warren. Anyone have any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the additional appropriation request.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion by David,
Second.
second by Danny. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And also, if anybody hasn't looked at the pamphlets I passed out last week, please take a look at them, because I'd like to discuss that at a later date, because workman's comp claims could be very expensive if we get somebody hurt. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next additional appropriation is within the cumulative capital development fund, Perry County Commissioners budget, $8,000 for computer system maintenance.
I can talk on that if you
Do you
want.
mind?
No, this is the additional that we had brought to you earlier, a few months back, probably a couple months back, and I know it was said at that time not to bring it until we really needed this money. Well, with our IT at this point, we are already using up our fourth quarter money as far as trying to get the work and stuff all done. So this is to help budget for another 3 months of work for this year. So hopefully after this year, then that's gonna slow down. And that's also included into the riverboat, because the other part of it's in the riverboat.
Okay.
Yeah, and part of that also is we have recently found out with our liability insurance company that as far as our cybersecurity, there is no one out there at this point that will cover us. Because we do not have a two-factor.
Authentication.
Thank you. Because right now, if we have to, there's only 2 companies that could possibly do it, and the cost from them, they're telling us would be extra money.
Yeah.
So it's better off that we are working with Anjan to get that going on every computer, and I think that cost was around $5,400. So that's what the additional is, because we were asking for 8 and 10 before, so that's where we had to add the extra $5,400 on down in the riverboat part to cover that, because we need to get that, and it will be a charge every year for this too.
$5,400 every year.
Well, hopefully, can't guarantee that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think we definitely need multi-factor authentication for logins, especially with everything being more and more digital,
Mhm.
and it protects us too. So, does anyone want to make a motion on approving that additional for $8,000?
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion by Danny. Got a second by David. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Next additional appropriation is within the health fund, the Perry County Health Department budget, $10,000 for overtime wages. Can you explain this? Because I don't remember what, we've done this so many times, I don't even remember.
We
which-
have.
Will this bring us current, does anybody know?
This is, well, we have run out of the appropriation that we had on the last 10,000 that we did. There was a little bit left, but with our last claims that we got, we were gonna be short. And we were hoping that grant was gonna be in place, or trying to figure out how they were budgeted. Where we were hoping not to use this 10,000 yet and go to the grant.
Right.
Well, we did not get the budget for the grant in time, so we've already used
That's right.
about 2,700 of this 10,000. But we will not use this anymore, because I have got the budget for that $39,000 grant that Earl had talked about, and it is all going toward overtime wages.
All 39,000.
Yes, yeah. So we will switch and pay out of the grant for the overtime now until it's used up, and then we'll have to probably come back to the health, and then we'll have to figure out where we're gonna go
Well,
then.
hopefully by then,
So,
we're not in the same position.
But we do need this 10,000 because we have already used 2,700 of it.
Okay.
And if we don't use it all, then it just goes back,
Cash.
right?
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Pam?
Pam, is there any idea when that grant's going to be coming in?
It's a grant that we have to use, it's a reimbursable grant, so it's actually started January 1 and it runs all the way till June 30th of '22.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where, we just got the budget papers on it, and we're switching over to that now. Mhm.
I would entertain a motion to approve this additional appropriation.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion by Erla,
I'll second.
got a second by Paul. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. That grant's gonna be a huge help.
Yes, it is.
All right, motor vehicle highway restricted fund, Perry County Highway Department, $100,000. Steve, do you wanna speak on that? It's,
This is just to help us make sure we pay our 50% out of the restricted fund. You know, we have to use everything that's in there. And we didn't put in motor vehicle highway bituminous in the budget from last year. We used to go in there and put $300,000 or $400,000 a year in March or April when we found out what we was going to have in edit, and we didn't put any in there this year because last year we were about $122,000 short from what we were the year before, and this year we're back $90,000 ahead of where we were last year at this time.
okay.
So we're having to juggle the figures around to
Yeah,
make sure
this
we,
restricted fund is,
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
yeah. I appreciate all your work on it.
Well, Marilyn does most of the work. I couldn't do it. Her and Pam do the work.
Well, there was a lot of talk this week as far as, even in the Auditors Association, that we'd like to see that restricted fund gone.
Yeah, I sure would.
We're putting
Yeah.
it in for it, so whether it'll pass or not, I don't know, but we're putting it into our part of the legislation.
It'd make life a lot simpler again
Yes,
for the
it
highway
would.
department, I know that.
Every 92 counties was
Yeah,
striping, so.
yeah.
All right, thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
I entertain a motion.
Make the motion we allow it.
Got a motion by Paul and a second by David. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Liv, can I say something to Steve?
Sure.
I just want to thank, I had talked to him Monday, and Tuesday morning, my road was mowed. I don't want to put that out there because you'll be getting calls like crazy.
I think you just did it.
I didn't send them nowhere special, it just worked out that way.
It just, well, I appreciate it.
Yes.
I'm glad they got it.
Steve, I commended your workers, your county workers, at one of the meetings. And if anybody wants to see what these guys do, just come on up Tobin Sportway. They're paving, they put in culvert after culvert after culvert. The roads are looking good. They're gonna start paving Monday, the 27th. That's where your county tax dollars go.
A lot of that up there is this community crossings money,
Yes.
and I've got to say that without commissioner support, we wouldn't be able to do that. And I do appreciate, they
Y'all
always
do an
support me on
excellent job.
everything.
All righty. Next additional appropriation within the Riverboat Fund, Perry County Commissioner's budget, $15,400 for computer system maintenance, and that is the other portion of what we just discussed prior. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion by David.
A second.
Got a second by Erla. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, inmate housing fund. In the Perry County Sheriff's budget, $3,712 for overtime for deputies and jailers, $13,434.80 for jailer supplemental wages, $1,042.13 for Social Security, and $1,616.99 for retirement. And this is for our,
This is the changes that last month we had to borrow to get the pay started. This is to replace in the overtime deputies where we took the money from, and then the rest of for the jailers and social security retirement is to pay for the rest of that supplemental wage that you allowed to the end of the year.
gotcha.
Okay?
Any questions? Not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the additional.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion by Erla. Got a second by Danny. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All righty. Next item on the agenda is Recorder Jane James for the approval of part-time position.
Good evening. I'm coming here seeking approval for our temporary part-time clerk for the calendar year 2022. And last year, when the position was approved, it was said it would be reevaluated every year. So I just want to remind everybody, I don't think Paul was on the council yet, but this position is for 28 hours per pay period and is fully paid out of the Recorder's Perpetuation Fund. And this temporary part-time clerk is responsible for back-indexing old documents that were not recorded on the computer or electronically. They were recorded with paper and put in books, so people can't search them electronically or remotely. And the State Board of Accounts has assured me that this project is exactly what that fund is for. And then I'll just tell you that a lot of most of the recorder's offices in Indiana are doing this project. We've got to get those documents online for people to be able to search. And since our part-time clerk started in January, she has back-indexed over 5,000 documents. She's fast, she's efficient, it's wonderful.
How many more you got to go?
A lot, David. I know there's a 5,000, then we have miscellaneous forestry book, we have miscellaneous oil and gas book. They have to be done because they're searched when you do a title search, so there's a lot, David. But we'll get there. We'll get there. She made a good start on it, so I'm really happy with that. So do you have any more questions for me?
Anyone have any questions for Jane?
How long do you anticipate this part-time position will be needed? A couple of years?
I'm
Years?
thinking 2 more years, we might be able to get the 50, we want to go 50 years, so they can do a 50-year search. But, of course, we always want to keep on back indexing, getting more documents on, because that's what the public wants.
And this is just as needed. Of course, you use her every week right now, correct? I mean, you said, but it's part-time position as needed, but yet.
Yes,
you use her
yes,
every
28 hours per pay period.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion to reapprove the part-time position for 2022.
I'll make the motion go ahead.
Got a motion by Paul and a second by David. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you
Jane.
very much.
Yep. Next,
Thank
Clerk Rachel Rourke for approval for replacement of the deputy position.
Yes, Mercedes, most of you know, has found another job with more pay, so I've lost a really good employee, and I'm just requesting your guys' approval to fill her position. It is much needed. We went from 6 full-time to 5 and with a part-time, and I'd love to have 6 full, but it's tough, so I really, really, really need this position at full-time again. This way I hope to get a good qualified person in there and help us do our daily work every day, and the election's coming up next year, and yes, so, big election. So, just...
Anyone have any questions?
Luke, I'm going to abstain on this.
Okay.
Particular.
Okay, that's fine. Hearing no questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve the replacement of the position.
I make that motion.
Motion by Erla.
I'll say.
Second by David. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, and we have 1 abstain. So motion carries 4-0 with 1 abstention. Alrighty. Next item on the agenda is PCDC Board of Directors and Delegate Appointment. I have resigned from the PCDC Board of Directors effective last week maybe. So I had asked Erla, who is our current delegate, if she would be willing to take that position, and she said yes. So we need to make it official though, vote her in, and then we'd have to refill the delegate position. So, I will make a motion to appoint Erla to the PCDC Board of Directors.
I'll second
Got a second by David. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Erla, did you
I
vote?
abstain.
Oh, you're gonna abstain, okay. Motion carries 401.
Yeah.
All right, next is a delegate appointment. They meet once a year, I think. So, at the annual meeting, you get to go and have a meal, I think.
That's it,
Yeah, and I would take that, just so I could do something, I guess. So, you wanna nominate me?
I'll nominate Luke.
I'll second it.
Motion by David and second by Erla to make me the PCDC delegate. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, and I will abstain.
I knew you would, I should have done it that way.
Alrighty, that is the end of the agenda. Thank you for everyone for coming, thank you for those who made public statements.
I think it's fitting at this time to say that Pam, myself, Paul, and Mindy just attended the Association of Indiana Counties, and Pam was reappointed to the Board of Directors and made president of our district. And Mindy moved from second vice president and was voted in as first vice president of the association. Those are
Southwest District.
big honors.
No, she's actually she's gonna be the first vice president of the actual AIC board.
Holy, nice.
In 2023, she will be the president.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Well, congratulations. Thanks again for everyone for attending and your comments. I will agree with Mr. Cole's comments about the detention center bond. That was kind of was talked about in our funding solution. Yeah, we may increase taxes paid with this, but hopefully by 2023, that tax can be eliminated. The earliest it can be is August of 2022. So, yeah. So thanks for your comments. I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Got a motion by Danny,
I'll second.
second by Erla. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, everyone.
You did?